Today on Homeworthy, we're touring the homes of chefs around the world where culinary creativity and stunning design meet. First, we'll visit Judy Joo's beautiful London home where she shares her secrets to making her signature fried chicken. Next, we'll step into Sarah Fennel's charming Brooklyn townhouse as she prepares a delightful brunch. Finally, we'll head to the Hamptons with Stephanie Nass, who shows us how to throw the perfect dinner party. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hello, Homeworthy. I'm Judy Joo. I'm a chef, restaurateur, author, and TV personality, and welcome to my home. We start out in the hallway. So when designing this place, we didn't really know if we wanted a big, large foyer. I said I wanted to save kind of the reception room for a different part of the apartment, which you'll see later. So hence we have this kind of long hallway, but I kind of love it. It's not ideal, but you'll see all the different design elements that we've incorporated to make it very welcoming. So this I call my wall of memories, and it's basically just full of tchotchkes from my travels. You know, beautiful ceramics from Korea. I'm Korean, so this is actually like an ink well, and you know, things that I walk by here is like, I got this guy in Thailand. Yeah, these guys came from Thailand. This guy came on my bed in Bali instead of a chocolate, so I kept him because he was so cute, little turtle there. This is from Mali, Africa. It's a traditional headdress. Things from India, things from Africa, all over the place. So this is my journey throughout the world, which is quite fun to come down. And this is a beautiful, you know, it's mixed in with some artwork also. This is by an amazing artist named Anna Masters. This is also, you know, pineapple is all about welcoming. So this is actually a solid piece artwork. It's very, very heavy to welcome everybody into my home. I love mixing old and new, as you can tell. This is a very old iron. Oh, these are my weights. I can use these as kettlebells when I want to, but this is how they used to iron shirts, and they're all different sizes and stuff. And I think this dates back, actually the date on this says 1942. So this is an antique piece. I just love the color. I love this like kind of like metal color. So I've been living here for about 15 years, and it was a complete and total gut renovation. The apartment hadn't been updated since before World War II. There were lead pipes in the floor. Bathrooms had to be moved. It was a full-on job. I think it took about 2 years to renovate in the end, just because it was moving plumbing, electricity, etc., everything. And what I love about it is that the building is a pre-war building. It was built in the 1800s, but then the modern also comes through, so as you know, a mix of old and new, and I think that's the way that I've incorporated my aesthetic as well. So, you know, lots of modern elements, lots of traditional Korean elements coming together, as well as just contemporary vibe as well. And then this long meandering hallway takes you down into the apartment, and one of the first rooms is my master bedroom. This is a large room, and kind of felt like I had to fill it up. So I've got this fun reading nook that I chill out in over here. So this is where I can kind of relax, watch movies, just chill out, and hang out with my teddy, read some books, do some work. So I'll often hang out in here, my little nook. And then I also have a little office nook, which I've set up in the other corner. Lots of storage. Those cabinets are all kind of like hidden storage, as well as the recessed cabinetry with the lights underneath, which I love. And all the fireplaces work. They're all gas, which is really convenient. I wanted to make this room like more utilitarian. So I decided to fill up the space, but rather than just having another sofa and a couch, I wanted to make something quite practical. And yeah, I made this little like office nook, a reading nook, just to have some fun with it. And come into my master bathroom. So this is all Vizaza tiling, jacuzzi, bathtub, television. What I really love about my apartment in general is that we really try to stay away from corners. So everything is rounded, all the edges. You'll see this in the hallway also. So that long hallway kind of draws you in, you know, everything's got some nice movement to it. Got a rain shower. This is also a steam shower, which is great. So I can, you know, built-in bench, etc. So I can get some nice relaxation, like a spa just at home. And everything I have is you'll see these like iPads on the walls everywhere. This is everything is smart, Lutron system, so I can control everything from my phone. All the music, all the speakers are all built in, all the lights. The curtains are all electric on tracks, and yeah, air conditioning, underfloor heating, everything is controlled from an app on my phone, which is great. So I can always check up on my apartment when I'm traveling. Everything is built in. So again, it's all curves. I just wanted everything just to be very practical. So using up all areas for storage, and I just love all of these, you know, design features of the recessed lighting as well, just to give it a little bit more dimension and height. I am a huge Star Wars fan, and I love this print because it was made by Stan Lee. And as you know, Stan Lee is not the genius behind Star Wars. He's from the Marvel comics, but he did like collaboration limited edition. So I've got a Stan Lee Star Wars, which is pretty cool. And then these are all original painted propaganda posters from North Korea, which is pretty cool, that you can actually even see like the brush strokes on the pencil drawings. Oh, and actually I want to show you my powder room. So we'll come in here. This is actually, I love this room just because of the wallpaper. You can come around and see here. So this is bespoke wallpaper by Wook Kim. And it's just these beautiful colors, bunny on the ceiling, etc. But this is just a nice little kind of fun powder room. I think you should always have fun in the bathrooms. And then this is the main reception area. Starts out with the dining room. So here I've got a big table, but again, lots of built-ins. So this is the bar with glasses, alcohol, etc. Kind of messy, but you get the point. You get wasted at my house, and but I like it because it's got the mirrors in the back as well with all the bottles. Down here is crockery, plates, bowls. So some of my favorite pieces are handmade from Korea. This is the Korean celadon. These are the teacups. Then the strainers are built in. Isn't it just beautiful? I love celadon. I'm obsessed with these. And to keep it hot, there's always a little lid, just like that. So these are soju glasses. Soju's Korea's fire water. Basically, it's a shot glass. But the funny thing about it is that there's a hole in it. So when you drink, when you fill it up, you have your finger over the hole. And then when you drink it, so you can't cheat, you have to do one shot. You have to take your finger out. So if there's anything left, it'll spill out. So this is to make sure that you're drinking your entire shot glass with the cranes on it. For everyday use, I do have a separate cabinet that has more casual things, but some of the items that I absolutely love in here are, again, some of my Korean pieces. This is a set from a Korean company called Gwangjeo, but isn't that beautiful? These like beautiful, delicate white ceramics. Looks like a shell, but it's actually just folded here. And the matching, it's like a scallop shell. It's so pretty. I like these bowls because when people are done eating their soup, there's a little skull on the bottom. It's kind of fun. And I've got some skull plates too. I kind of like these skulls. They're quite fun. These are from Rory Dobner, English designer. So it's really fun. And these are some of my favorite ones. These are so delicate and beautiful. just love like the gold detail. It's one of my favorite designers too. But yeah, lots of fun things. Whenever I have dinner parties, I'm pretty much cooking, as you probably guess. I generally will have maybe my housekeeper here to help with the cleanup, but you'd be surprised, like nobody wants to sit here. Everybody wants to sit in the kitchen and be near where all the action is. So even though I might set up things, people might grab a plate, sit down here for a second, but then they're right back in the kitchen, just wanting to pick on things. I'll usually set the bar up with all different types of grazing items, and yeah, it's just a very social space, so people will move around the space, which is really what I wanted. I didn't want separate rooms. I wanted it to be all open plan. I travel a lot, so even though I love fresh flowers, it just isn't really practical. And even the plants that I do have, I struggle to keep them alive. So I use a lot of dry flowers and fake flowers as well. But you know, the fake flowers look great these days too. I found these lanterns, I think, in a flea market in Paris, so I dragged them back with me on the Eurostar. This is another antique item here that I've got on the floor in front of the fireplace. It's an antique book press. So this is how they used to make books. And I love the color as well. That's very heavy, as you can imagine. This is an old Chinese lunch box. So it's locked right now, but it does kind of come apart. But I basically have it there to hide the outlets behind it. But there are 3 different compartments, and yeah, this is how they used to pack their lunch. This piece is by an artist named David Krakow, and it's metal. Every single butterfly is hand painted and different. So there are no 2 butterflies that are alike, but I thought it matched perfectly, and it's so happy and joyous. I just had to get it. And the other one here is an abstract piece by an artist named Alf Lohr, which I just love. The splash of color matches my lamp in the corner. I thought it kind of looked like a heart, so I felt it just represented like love, and so yeah, that's another one. And then I have another piece here by a British artist. He does everything in ballpoint and pen, and he's so talented. I got this because it's a female samurai, also because the Millennium Falcon's in there. You know, I'm a Star Wars fan, so it's quite fun. He's got Tweety birds flying around, but I liked this so much that I actually commissioned him to do a piece that's quite bigger in my living room. So over the years, as I've traveled around, I've always collected things from restaurants as a little memory or memento. So I gave him this, you know, huge, like few shoe boxes just full of stuff. And he took it and made a collage, as well as incorporated all different things. So this piece is kind of, again, a walk down memory lane for me. A lot of places from all over the world that have closed, places that I worked, old things that I was involved in, restaurants, etc. And again, I don't know if people remember Lucky Chang's from New York City, that closed down decades ago. You know, places in Japan, places in Germany, places in Thailand, Hong Kong. Yeah, I'm just looking here, but it's again another walk down memory lane with all different things. You know, it's kind of mementos from some of my old restaurants as well, which is very fun. And yeah, so this is a two-way fireplace. You can see it from the dining room as well as from the living room. Mixing in some antique Korean furniture with some modern pieces as well. I have some things from Catherine Mamie. She's a French designer, as well as Armani Casa. And again, this is the two-way wine refrigerator. This side's the white wine. And this is another one of my favorite art pieces in my entire apartment, which I had commissioned by a very talented English artist named Anna Masters. And this is all done on fishing wire, and it's also old watch pieces. So it's the whole idea of it is like suspended in time. So all these timepieces and pieces of the watch and the gears are kind of suspended on fishing wire, and you know, like leaves and nature and petals, etc., kind of making like a new watch style. And it's almost like it's been thrown into it, and the leaves have been painted gold. I absolutely love this piece. It's it's one of my favorite things here. Also have, you know, a ton of books around. A lot of them are cookbooks from my friends. So my reclining Buddhas from Thailand. I try to buy these monks. I think they were from Indonesia. I tried to just buy 2 of them and the lady wouldn't let me. She said they had to stay together because they were a team and brothers, so I had to buy all 4. And this is just all cookbooks, etc. Some of my cookbooks. Again, beautiful things from my travels, Korean ceramics and vases. Yeah, I love Korean celadon, so you'll see a lot of this green and just this beautiful ceramics in my apartment. This is an incense burner. Again, like, you know, mix of like modern, you know, table and kind of old traditional ceramics with some, you know, wooden elements. Also, I got these bowls in Southeast Asia also somewhere. So I ended up in London because of my now ex-husband. Yeah, he got a job here and we ended up splitting, but then I ended up staying. And here I am 19 years later. I'm a Londoner. So one of the shows that put me on the map, I would say, was Iron Chef UK. I was the first female Iron Chef in the UK and the second female Iron Chef globally, which is quite fun. That show is really hard. It's not playing anymore, but yeah, I just remember being covered in sweat from head to toe. You don't get any extra time. That's a really challenging show. So pretty much now in my career, I feel like I earned my stripes. I don't have to compete that much anymore. And I just judge food, go around and eat and give my opinion. So that's pretty much what I'm doing now, hosting too. So I've got all these cookbooks here. This is Korean Food Made Simple. This is US edition. This is Korean Soul Food. Second book, US edition. This is Korean Soul Food UK edition. I've got some more. Many different editions and variations of the same book. I have third book coming out soon. I think some of my other books are in the other room. And then I've got, yeah, tons of cookbooks. I've got a big cookbook shelf here. What's something I use a lot? I love this really old one. The Settlement Cookbook. It's so old, like the spine is cracking and it's so well worn. But yeah, some of the best recipes are from here. This is a cookbook that my friend Fiona wrote, the Boat Cookbook. I actually cooked all the recipes in here for her. I helped her with this one. So they're pictures of my hands and stuff like that in here, and yeah, like this. Those are all my hands. I was helping her out to throw this together, which was fun. Actually, the recipes are really, really good. Very tasty, very simple. So these are all recipes that you can cook on a boat. So a lot of these are just from my friends. All of them. There's, let's see. I wrote this book with Jason Atherton. Ravinda's book. I've got, I mean, this is just, yeah, it's a very small community here. So, you know, I've got Asma's book. I have so many of the chefs in London's book, and so many chefs from New York too. Yeah, of course, my New York Times cookbook, which I love. Yeah, I can get lost on this shelf. Yeah, but honestly, now I really just kind of look up a lot of stuff online. So. Yeah, books are kind of, you know, you have to have books, but if I'm looking for something quite quickly, I'll pretty much do it online. So now this is where the magic happens. This is my kitchen. Again, you know, lots of curves here throughout the apartment. That everything is curved, which I love. I also like the fact that it's all kind of, I can hide everything away if I wanted to. So this all goes away and then it's like a seamless effect, but I usually keep it open because I'm always using this extra sink. So this is like a little mini bar. So what I love is that this is all storage. It's ceiling to floor storage. I have all my everyday plates and stuff, and these are all drawers, so it makes it very easy for things to come out, which is great. So there's no rummaging around, and then again, drawers down here. It's all very functional, which is what I insisted on. And again, even cabinets in corners, everywhere to use all the space. Yep, I have UV filtered water tap and an extra sink here. And let's see, this is my Molteni oven. So this is a serious piece of kit. It's one piece. Had to close the street down and rent a crane to get it in through the window because it's so heavy. Had to also reinforce the floor because it's so heavy. I don't know how I got planning permission for this, because also this vent, which you can kind of hear going now, I say it sucks the souls out of kittens. It is so strong. You can stand under here and your hair goes flying up it. I could probably do 150 covers off of this range. This is something that is restaurant quality. I've got 4 burners, an electric solid top, 2 radiant ovens, a grill, and a real wok. It is a lot of BTUs going on here. And it's full again with all of my cooking things, so things that are very old, traditional. These are some of my strainers that are bamboo, that are Korean, ongi crockery pots, mortars and pestles, lots of different spices. Again, my little Star Wars thing. This is my favorite thing. This is my R2D2 pepper grinder, so all of my food has the force. I used to use it when I was on Iron Chef just to put on the end just to make sure that I won. I also love my tap because it's a hotspot titanium tap, so it's one of those like boiling water taps, but as you can see, it doesn't sputter. A lot of these sputter. This one doesn't sputter. Then you're like, because it's sputtering, boiling water everywhere. This one's very smooth. It works great, and you get your boiling water out of there, which I love. And then, this obviously you can move all around. I really wanted to make sure that I also had a front-facing little stove, because we filmed 2 seasons of Korean Food Made Simple here, about 20 episodes, and so I knew I needed a front-facing type of situation. So this is the set of Korean Food Made Simple. So I insisted on having this, and then which is just a 2-hob stove top here, and I made sure that they made it flush with the counter, so they had to kind of adjust it because I wanted to be able to stick a cutting board over on top of it. I didn't want it to be raised at all. I just wanted to make sure that it was exactly flush with the counter. So now it's time to make some Korean fried chicken, which is what I am known for, and what Soulbird, my quick serve casual restaurants, are specializing in now. So I've just got some corn flour. You can use potato flour, whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to make some wings and some thighs. Who doesn't love a chicken wing? Got some flats and drumettes here, and just going to toss it around in this pre-coat. And this pre-coat is just going to help the wet batter stick, which we're going to do in the next step, and lie those out to dry. And you can use other parts if you want to. Chicken on the bone if you want to. It just takes longer to cook. We're doing everything quite simply here though. So I just got boneless thighs, and wings are quite easy to get, cheap too. So we're just going to do some wings as well. Okay, so maybe some 3 thighs, we'll do that. And you just want like a light dusting. So we're gonna shake these around. You don't want to have any clumps at all. And Korean fried chicken is one of the most popular Korean dishes. I mean, who doesn't love fried chicken? But I don't know if people know this, it's actually not traditionally Korean. It came over with the American GI presence from the war in Korea. And so, like other things such as Spam or, corn dogs, the influence from the American GIs evolved. It stuck with a vengeance and evolved, and then it became a product that was like the original product, but evolved into something that is and become uniquely Korean. And Korean fried chicken is known to be extra crispy, and that's because you usually double fry it. So you fry it the first time on a lower temperature, and then the second time on a higher temperature. Today, I'll probably just do it once just to simplify things, because kind of, make things go a little faster. But if you want to, you can fry it at a lower temperature first, and then let it rest, and then and they do it at a higher temperature. And then the wet batter also gives it a very thin, kind of almost translucent crust, which is extra crispy, which is delicious, and another thing that Korean fried chicken is known for. So I'm gonna let my chicken pieces just kind of chill out there. My love for cooking comes from, I would say, my parents and my love to eat and my love for food in general. I've always loved food and restaurants, and I grew up in a very, I would say, kind of food obsessed family. We were always talking about, what the next meal was, what we were gonna eat. I think Asian people in general are obsessed with food. And my mom was always making something from scratch at home. So I was lucky to grow up in a very kind of food and fresh food type of household, which was nice. So I just added some water. Sometimes I use a combination of water and vodka, which makes it even crispier. The vodka prevents gluten development, so any alcohol that is 40% alcohol proof or more will prevent gluten development. It makes it even crispier, but let's keep this alcohol free for today. I like to use vodka because it's flavorless. You can use gin though, or you can use soju, whatever you want. That's our secret batter mix. And so this is a combination of corn flour, onion powder, garlic powder, pepper, all kinds of seasonings, regular flour. So, and then now we're gonna take it over here. We're gonna get ready to fry. Favorite apron brands? Not really. Just ones that are functional. I have so many because everybody just gives them to me. I have some from Bragard, which are nice. This one, I have no idea who makes this, but this is the original kind of like London butcher's apron, which I think is quite fun with the stripes. But yeah, no, I just got a lot of kitchen stuff. I don't know, lots of kitchen towels, lots of aprons, lots of chef's jackets. So yeah, I guess I tend to go for the ones that have like, this one, no, that have pockets or something, or just have good coverage, I guess. The oil's heating up, so basically I am just going to dip my chicken in the batter, which I've done here, and then put it in the oil and let it go. So just have to wait for it to come up. I love this home because it's so me. It's so incredibly personal. It's decorated and designed exactly the way I wanted it. Every single object has a story behind it practically. You can literally walk around my apartment here, or flat as they call it, and pick up whatever, and there's a story, there's my personality, and because of that it feels so incredibly homey and cozy. And my friends love coming over and visiting and staying with me. It's also smack in the center of London. It is a fabulous location. I am just next to Bond Street Tube, which is on the border of Mayfair and Marylebone, two of the greatest neighborhoods, I think, in London. So everything is absolutely within a stone throw of my doorstep, so I can walk everywhere. Everything I need to do is literally like a 15-20 minute walk away. All the best restaurants, the best places to go grocery shopping. I have a fabulous farmers market every week in Marylebone, and I'm close to all the tube lines for the subway, all the trains. I'm very close to the Eurostar if I want to go to Paris. I'm just so incredibly well situated where I am. I can't rate the location high enough. The oil's ready now, so we can start frying. So just giving this a dip, and then it goes. Hold it a second. gosh, I don't know if I consider myself a trailblazer, but yeah, I am in a male-dominated industry, extremely male-dominated. And there's a lot of testosterone in kitchens. But you know, women are making their way, and we are slowly but surely, you know, getting more accolades and management positions. It's tough. It's not easy. I've dealt with a lot of misogyny and chauvinism over the years, but you know, it's just makes you stronger, makes you more determined to succeed, and yeah. So I don't know it any other way, I have to say. So I'm kind of always used to climbing uphill and sailing into the wind. It's just what you do. Sometimes I wish I had a 6-foot tall white man suit just to put on and do all my meetings and see what happens. Look at this. It's getting there. Nice. I'm just gonna let that go longer. But look how crispy that looks. Look at that. So good. Isn't this better than an air fryer? Come on, right? Much better than an air fryer. I've got just like a seasoning mix here. This is just some salt and some chilies. Again, onion, garlic powder. You can sprinkle whatever you want on top. I'm gonna do that one. So last November, I had the honor to cook for the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. He's no longer Prime Minister right now, but that was super fun. It was my first time cooking at 10 Downing Street, which is like the White House in America. Also for the Korean president, his whole contingency. The request was to take all classic British canapes and dishes and put a Korean twist on them, because I really wanted to fuse the two cultures as a sign and a form of cultural diplomacy and food diplomacy. So that was super fun. So we did things like pigs in the blanket with samjang. We made fish and chips dumplings. We did some bulgogi, or like kalbi beef skewers with some traditional kind of like a spiced mayonnaise, but we did it with like truffles and seasonal mushrooms. I can't even remember. We did a whole bunch of stuff, like and there were desserts too. Like, yeah, I think we did a seaweed shortbread also, if I remember. Yeah, but it was so fun. Absolutely loved it, and it went down like a storm. And we're asked to cook again, but then the government changed, so we'll see if we make it through the next round. But it's something that was, you know, a true honor, a real bucket list thing, I think, for every chef, is to kind of cook for a prime minister or a president at some point. I've cooked for a lot of celebrities, a lot of sports people, particularly when I was the executive chef at the Playboy Club London. So that, just because of the nature of the club, had a lot of celebrities and a lot of sports personalities coming through. A lot of NFL teams, boxers, even some of the royals came through. Snoop Dogg was fun, because then we can just they just wanted fried chicken and spaghetti and burgers and stuff. So that was a lot of fun. Kind of making like elevated comfort food. But yeah, I do pop-ups and I cook all around the world internationally. My next pop-up is in the Maldives, which will be super fun. So I love going there. I've been doing that for a few years now. I'm also cooking in Anguilla in the Caribbean at the Four Seasons there around Christmas. So that'll be fun. And probably going to do a pop-up in Thailand also in the new year. I'm also one of the celebrity chefs that cooks at the Tottenham Hotspur's H Club in the VIP season ticket holders area. And we just opened up a concession in the general public area, which is super fun as well. And let's see, we always have to probe our chicken. Yeah, that's fine. I love being at home in London. It's definitely one of my, it's a sanctuary in my apartment. I love being at home. It's so cozy. I don't have FOMO in my later years. I have the joy of missing out, JOMO. So I'm quite happy to stay at home, curl up in my reading nook, watch a movie on my couch, you know, cook something nice and just for myself, make myself some fried chicken in my fryer, drizzle with some of our seasoning mix, like this. Do this. And then we'll also, I've got a Korean gochujang sauce, which we can toss or drizzle over the chicken as well. So I have that here. So that's gonna go over the chicken. I live here alone, and I don't have a boyfriend currently. So I do find it a bit difficult to cook for myself. And a lot of times I'll just throw something really quick and easy together. I definitely won't fry chicken for myself. You know, I'll try to make something kind of a bit quicker and easier. I'm just dressing some Asian slaw to have on the side. This is just some thinly shaved cabbage, a little bit of red onion, and a really nice kind of spicy soy vinaigrette. I have a new show coming out in January with Food Network, so stay tuned for that. I can't say the title yet, but there's something new coming out. And then another book also coming out in the new year called K-Quick, which will be Korean food in 30 minutes or less, which is fun. And I'll have another book also in 2026 as well. So it's kind of churning out the books. I shoot all of my books in this apartment also, which is great. I'm allowed to eat. So I'm also gonna drizzle some of our spicy sauce on top. Still crispy. For the crunching, so good. I mean, I love eating Korean food all the time. It's my true comfort food. So other than Korean fried chicken, I like to make a lot of the soups and the stews. They're just so incredibly tasty. You know, Korea has 4 distinct seasons, and because of that, you know, it has like a tradition of warm and hearty stews. Yeah. So Korean cooking should also always have the 5 flavors, the 5 textures, and the 5 colors, just to ensure that you're getting all of your nutrients. This plate may not have that, but in general, Korean cooking will aim for that. And I'm telling you, that at any dinner party is a winner. So the word home to me is the place where you don't necessarily just live, but the place that you really feel that you belong. And so I really feel that I belong in this home. Thank you so much, Homeworthy. It's been so much fun. I'll give you a little peek of my home. Until next time, I've got a flight to catch.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Sarah Fennel. I'm the founder of Broma Bakery and author of Sweet Tooth. Welcome to my Brooklyn home. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, my name is Sarah Fennel. I'm the founder of Broma Bakery, and welcome to my home in Brooklyn. Today I'm going to show you around my kitchen and dining space. We're going to do a little baking, and then we're going to set the table. I moved into this house just a few months ago, so I very much knew that coming into my home, I wanted it to feel like a place where people could feel really comfortable, where there was a lot of light, where there was room for entertaining, and that's a really hard thing to find in New York City. So throughout the process of looking for a house, I was really centering my search around the kitchen. Not only is the kitchen so important for my job, but I also feel like the kitchen really is the heart of the home, and I wanted a kitchen that felt like it would be good for entertaining, but like it was also just a place where we could be lounging around, you know, cooking breakfast or cooking dinner together on a Tuesday night. So finding a good kitchen was like the #1 thing on my wish list in finding an apartment. I was searching every day on multiple sites looking for a house for like months on end. And I stumbled upon this house and I saw the kitchen and I knew immediately that it was perfect for my needs. So it had all of the space to be able to entertain like I like. It also has so much storage, which is really tough to find in a lot of places that are rentals. And it just had this really welcoming, open feeling that I was instantly drawn to. I think too, for me, finding a kitchen that has a lot of light and that kind of bridges the indoors and the outdoors is just like one of the most beautiful things in a home. And I absolutely love that we have these floor to ceiling windows that also open out onto this back terrace. So it really just makes you feel like during the summer that you can have this like indoor outdoor situation. You feel like you're in nature, but you're also cooking in your lovely kitchen, and it's just really nice and homey. In terms of decorating the space, something that I really wanted to pay attention to is blending old and new. That's kind of how I like to decorate in general, but especially because so many of the bones of the kitchen have that really old original detail. There's beautiful molding, just really nice woodwork all around. And then you contrast that with this more modern kitchen. I felt like the space was a perfect canvas for sort of that dichotomy that I wanted to create with the design, which is this blend of old and new. So a lot of the pieces are from secondhand stores or vintage shops, but then I also have a few pieces that are from places like CB2, Restoration Hardware. So that's something I really like to do when I'm designing, find some pieces that are available at major retailers that can kind of ground the space, but then really take the more decorative aspects and have those be unique or vintage or things that, you know, you can add your own personal touch to. Welcome to the heart of the home, to my kitchen. I'm so excited. As you can see, we're going to be doing a little baking later, but just a little preview, it's gonna be absolutely delicious. But this is my kitchen. Again, this space is a rental, and one thing that I was so excited about is the fact that despite it's a rental, that it has so much storage. So all of this is storage space, which is so good for somebody like me who has so many pots and pans. But I absolutely love that we just have like ample space for everything. Another thing that I absolutely love about this space is the fact that it has a double oven. So this can be both a microwave, but an oven as well. And it's so, so nice for somebody like me who bakes all the time to be able to have two separate apparatuses for baking. It makes it so you can have cookies going at one temperature, cake going at another temperature, whatever you need. It's so, so helpful. So if you're designing your home or designing your kitchen in the next few years and you're a big baker, highly, highly recommend a double oven. I love limes. I'm a huge lime fan. And I hope if you're watching this, you understand that reference. These bowls are vintage. They're from a vintage shop that I absolutely love following online. It's called The Prolific Home. They have such good little small housewares. So that's from there. Oh my God, what's that? Is that my book? That is my book, Sweet Tooth. But just in general, I love using books as display pieces, whether they're like propped up like this or down like this. I also have it on the other side over here. I think books just bring in such a nice sense of coziness to a space. So I love bringing books in everywhere. My husband says that I have an addiction to coffee table books, and he's not wrong about that. This is my super, super heavy booze block cutting board. Oh, here's the booze. Like Booze, Jonathan Booze is the name. And I absolutely love this piece because it really, like, it feels like a piece of furniture. Like, it's so heavy, it's so well made, and I just love sort of the organicness and warmth that it adds. These are vanilla bean blackberry scones. They're from the brunch chapter of Sweet Tooth. And then this is a zebra bundt cake, which when you cut into it, it has these chocolate and vanilla stripes. I'm so, So excited to show you guys. I also am obsessed with this edibles jar. We won't open it because who knows what could be in there. But this is from Jonathan Adler. I think they have such fun and just like graphic pieces that you can add all over your home. Another thing that I was immediately drawn to in this space was the countertop. I don't know exactly what kind of marble it is, but I love that it has these notes of sort of like green and beige all throughout. It just adds this little subtle warmth that breaks up the black and white really nicely. And I also would have never thought about this. Again, I didn't design this space, but it's something that I will be bringing to whatever kitchen I do design next. And it's having this little recessed area right here that falls into the sink. It's so nice to be able to use this as almost like a drying rack for dishes and be able to just wipe up any liquids or mess or stain into the sink. So highly recommend something similar to that. This is one of my favorite pieces in this space. This was actually made by one of my employees, Sophie, and she made this for me for my birthday. So she actually carved this out and printed it herself. Cheetos are my guilty pleasure. I love Cheetos so much. I have a bag of Cheetos with me all the time, whether I'm on a road trip or on vacation or literally just at my house. I always want my Cheetos. So I love that I have this little vignette to Cheetos here. This is a piece I actually just got from the Poster Club. So the Poster Club is a super affordable prints website online. I think they ship from Europe, but what's so nice is you can get the actual print any size, and then they'll do the matting and they'll do the framing for you. This piece, I think it's 30 by 50 centimeters, and this was like $170 to have it framed and matted. So really affordable and really, really fun prints from them. And this in particular is a little ode to our black cat who passed last year, but we just like saw it and immediately were drawn to it because it reminded us of our old black cat. And I just think it's so cute and fun. Like I said earlier, one of my favorite parts about this space is sort of the indoor-outdoor moment. I do have a cat, so this one I don't open all the way because there's not a screen, but this is an actual door that opens out, which is just so, so special. So this one over here has a screen, and in the summer, we've just been keeping this open at all times, and it's so nice because you can like hear a little bit of the city sounds, but you also have this protection from the outside for the animals. So when we were first looking, we were looking in Manhattan, we were looking at all of these apartments. And then we looked at a townhouse in Brooklyn, and I literally stood in the kitchen and I said to myself, oh my God, like I can envision myself here baking, being able to let the dog outside, having her like lounge and being able to see her and not having to go down this hallway and down an elevator. And like that was the moment that I knew that this was the place, because I could just like literally envision our daily life here. And you absolutely have to see her lounging. It is like, look at that little thing. Is that not the sweetest? Another thing that I absolutely love about this space is the fact that the kitchen and the dining room are together in one space. I absolutely love being able to cook and to entertain, but to also be watching my friends and my family enjoy themselves at the table, be eating maybe one part of a course while I'm preparing another. I just love having those two elements happen in the same space. I think it's so nice. I also think being able to be cooking while people are enjoying themselves and not have that kitchen separated is just a way to create this really casual and welcoming atmosphere. So I absolutely love that about this space. Moving on over, this is the dining space. So there was a few challenges in this space. So one was that it is relatively narrow, so we wanted to make sure that we could have space for people to walk around and sort of have pathways, especially because we have this door outside. I just wanted there to be like direct streamlined access to outside. So these chairs I think are absolutely perfect. This table is from Restoration Hardware and the chairs are from Stowed Home, but they fit perfectly. So it's so nice to be able to tuck those in and have this really like tight, streamlined area. I will say, like, I definitely prefer going vintage or secondhand for big sort of wooden pieces, but I will say, I think Restoration Hardware does a phenomenal job with their wooden pieces, and I'm so, so pleased with just the quality of this table. Over here, another challenge was sort of figuring out how we could add a little bit of storage, but not have it be really like heavy and big. And I'm so pleased with this. This is also from Restoration Hardware, but I was really happy I got it on sale, so it felt like a little bit of a win. But I love burl wood. I think it's such a fun blend of like 70s, but also like there's this like modern element to it with it just being glossy, and I just love it. So this is really great and perfect for any sort of storage. Half of it we have bar stuff like cocktail glasses and liquors, and then half of it we have serveware, which is really nice to be able to have both and be able to pull out. So like when we'll have people over, we'll pull out some of the liquors and this will become like this whole bar situation, which is really nice. Here, this is a really fun moment. A lot of the more like fun and vibrant pieces that I have in this space are from a shop called Big Night. They are both in the West Village and they are also in Greenpoint, but you can also get them online. But I absolutely love their stuff. So all of this, including the tray, is from Big Night. They have some really beautiful vintage glassware if you're able to go in person. So these are just vintage glasses, but I loved pairing them and creating this sort of like mixed metal moment. I just think it's like this fun, little bit like chic vibe inside this contained space, which I think is really nice. And in general, I think something that I really like to do with design is create little vignettes. So like we have this little vignette here, this little vignette there. So I'm always trying to think about ways that I can layer things or like keep things within a space to just make them look really put together and refined. This piece is actually a piece that I made, and I made it back in Boston. And when we moved into this space, I thought, wait a second, I think this will look perfect in the kitchen because it really helps to bookend this space with black. So we have the really black cabinets over there. And then this kind of like balances out that black on this side, which I think looks really nice. But this is literally a canvas that I got from Blick Art Store. And then I got like wall spackle plaster, and I took like a spackling thing and I kind of just like all over. And then I took even more spackle and I kind of like built it up into these little like ridges around the edges, which I think just adds some really nice texture to the piece. And then I just painted it black. So I think it works really nicely in the space. And I also really like the idea of like having your own art in a space, that it just adds this really nice personal touch. Then fun fact, this is actually from Amazon. Amazon has some really fun decor pieces that like don't look like they're from Amazon, but I think this was like $45 or something. And I just think it's really fun and chic, and it has, you know, a little like Roman moment. This is another piece I absolutely love. It is a vessel from Bode, which is another vintage shop I absolutely love. She does a lot of larger scale furniture pieces, but she's recently been doing more smaller pieces, and I think this is just so, so beautiful. I love the texture. I love that there's a little like terracotta moment in there. I think it's so chic. The last piece that is really special in this space is this giant floor vase. This was actually something I found from Facebook Marketplace, and it was really like gaudy and blue and green, but I loved the shape of it. And it was only $45, which for a vase of this size is like absolutely amazing. So I got it from this lady on Facebook Marketplace. She was lovely. And I brought it back home, and then I mixed together some sand and dirt from outside my house with some paint and painted it on. So it has this like little bit of texture that I think makes it look more vintage than it is. But I just absolutely love how it turned out. And then put pampas grass in the top, because who doesn't love pampas grass? We're on the edge of the kitchen and dining room, so I might as well tell you about this piece, but this is such a special piece. When I was living in Boston, I had a friend who was staying with me. We went to a yoga class, and on the way back from the yoga class, we drove past this pawn shop, and she noticed this in the window, and she was like, oh my God, I have to get it. So we go into the pawn shop. And the guy had it up for like $2,000, and we thought that was ridiculous. Like, it was just way too much for the shop that it was in. And so she texted her husband and she sent a photo, and her husband was like, I don't like it. And I was like, oh my God, this is my moment. Like, I like it, I should take it. And so I asked her if it was okay if I bought it. And she said, yeah, I mean, he doesn't like it, I'm not gonna take it home with me. So I bought it, and I was able to negotiate it down to $750, which I was thrilled with. And I just think it's such a beautiful piece. I mean, the frame alone is just absolutely stunning. It has such beautiful detail in it, but I also just love the tones of the image itself. The like sort of beigey green with the blue and the black. I think it's so beautiful, and it's just a really special piece. So that is the gist of the kitchen and dining area, but now we're gonna move on to the food, which is my favorite part. So I'm gonna go over there and get some things ready to bake some really delicious recipes for you guys. And then after that, we're gonna set the table and we're gonna have a little brunch celebration moment. Okay, I'll see you in a second. I founded Broma Bakery 14 years ago. I was a college student in my dorm room, and I literally came back from a night out. I still had my Halloween costume on from the night before because it was Halloween weekend. And I decided to create a blog. And I had a camera that I had from high school because I really liked photography. And I basically photographed a coconut cake. And I put it onto this blog that was on, I think it was on Blogspot, which was like a huge thing back then. And I started this blog and I called it Broma Bakery, and it was just completely a hobby for me. It was never something that I thought that I would do for my career, but I kept it up all throughout college really as this way to have this creative outlet. And then after college, I was working in the restaurant industry. I was feeling so burnt out, and I just knew that I wanted to be in the food space, but that I couldn't keep working in restaurants. And I got to this point at the job that I was working at where I literally quit, and I went home and I Googled how to make money on a food blog because I saw these people doing it, and I had no idea how to do it, but I knew that it was possible. I knew that it was like a thing, because really, like, up until that point, my blog was so much a hobby for me. I had never made a cent on it. It was just something I was doing really like creatively and for fun. But I gave myself 2 months to see if I could have any growth on this blog, and to see if I could gain traction, and to see if I had something that people were really interested in. Thankfully, and knock on wood, people were interested in it. And I mean, it's crazy that like almost 10 years to the day when I quit my job is when this first cookbook is coming out, which is just like insane to me that it's this like full circle moment of a decade's worth of work. I think this book is really special because it's approached the way that a lot of people naturally approach how they bake. You don't necessarily know if you want a cookie or a brownie, but you know that you want something in 30 minutes. Or you don't know if you want a 3-layer cake or a tart, but you know that you want something that you can bring to your friend's birthday dinner. So I love that the book is organized that way, and it just, I think, really calls on how emotional dessert is for so many people, and how dessert really plays this role of being something that adds joy to people's lives. So I'm really, really excited about it. Another really fun thing about this book is that pretty much all of the recipes you can do in 1 or 2, maybe 3 bowls, but no more. There's no lamination, there's no like crazy technique. Really, it's all things that the classic home baker can do in their kitchen and not feel like, oh my God, I don't have this, you know, pastry whisk to use, or I don't have this cutter that I need to specially make some sort of crimped edge or something. It's all really things that are accessible to the home baker. I feel like so many people love home baking, but they either make the cookies that they know, or they try some really fun but kind of scary dessert that might take them a whole half day. And this book is kind of all about the in-between. It's about making the really fun cookies. And yeah, we're gonna have a recipe for like an unbelievable espresso martini cake that's gonna take you a half day and is gonna be so worth every moment. But it's also about all of these desserts in between that are maybe things that you wouldn't necessarily think about on your own, but that fit so nicely into your daily life. Are you guys ready? We are going to make a bumbleberry tart. So this recipe comes from Sweet Tooth. This is from the brunch chapter. And this recipe is one of my favorite recipes in the book. So much so that you can already see I've stained the page a little bit, but like to me, that's the sign of a good recipe. So it's all good. So this tart is so much fun, but it's also so easy, which you'll see it takes maybe like 5 minutes to throw together. And it has way fewer ingredients than you'd even think. Just starting off over here, we have everything that's gonna be our actual berries. Fun fact, bumbleberry literally is a fancy way of saying mixed berry, but it sounds so much better. So here we have a bowl full of just mixed berry fruits. It's gonna be strawberries, blackberries, blueberries. There might be some raspberries in there. Whatever you have on hand is gonna be great. And then we have some other ingredients we're going to mix into there. And then over here is where we're gonna do our little tart making station. I feel like tarts seem like they're gonna be more fancy than they are, but we're basically gonna dump all this into a food processor, puree it up a little bit, and then that lovely mixture is going to both be the mixture for the bottom of our tart and the top of our tart. So that was something that was so important to me with this recipe, making sure that there's only 2 components, but you kind of get like 3 levels and layers of flavor. So let's get started. I will also say, wearing all white in the kitchen is something I unfortunately do far too often, but I refuse to put on an apron for this because it's Homeworthy and we gotta look cute while we're making a tart. So let's really hope that I don't get anything on my nice white shirt. Again, we have a food processor here. If you don't have a food processor, you can technically do this by hand. It's gonna take a little bit longer and it's just gonna be a little bit more messy because you're gonna be working those cubes of butter in. But what we have here in our tart is butter. We have a 1/2 cup of butter here. This is cold butter cut into cubes. We also have almond flour and some all-purpose flour, and then brown sugar and salt. So we're gonna start out by putting 1 cup of all-purpose flour into our food processor. And then from there, we are going to add 1 cup of almond flour. So this almond flour not only is gonna add this really nice depth of flavor, but it also adds so much nice texture to this tart. So it becomes a little bit softer, a little bit more moist. And it's like, it makes it so when you bite into the tart, it really melts into your mouth and it's the best. From there, we have 2/3 a cup of packed light brown sugar. I always use light brown sugar when baking opposed to like a dark brown sugar because I feel like this is the perfect amount of moisture and molasses flavor. Any darker and things can start to get a little bit chewy and wet, but this light brown sugar is like the perfect amount to give you a little bit of added warmth to the flavor of your tart and again, help with that really nice soft chew when you bite into it. Last 2 ingredients, we're almost there. We have a 1/2 of a cup, which is also 1 stick of cold butter. We're gonna put this right in. Okay, amazing. So basically I just pulse it until it comes together in this kind of wet sand way. So you can see here, it's started to clump. This is exactly what we're looking for. And now, if you're brave like me, oh, it doesn't have any eggs in it, so it doesn't even matter. We always have to taste as we go. Delicious, amazing. Oh my God, I love this tart so much. Oh, it's gonna be great. Now, we have to put all of our filling ingredients together. This is, again, so easy. We're just gonna dump everything into a single bowl. What we have here, 2 cups of bumbleberries, AKA mixed berries. To that, I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of light brown sugar. We are also going to add in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. I really like adding in cornstarch to pies, tarts, anything with fruit filling, just because it helps to make that filling a little bit jammier and keeps the liquid from being too thin and gross. And then we are going to add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Vanilla, I always think of it as a flavoring agent, just like salt is. So anytime you add it to baking, it's just gonna enhance the flavor of whatever you pair it with. And then last, I like adding just a little bit of lemon zest to this. It adds such a nice brightness to the dish, and it just gives it that like pop that I really feel like takes it over the edge. So my love of baking definitely comes from my mom. She was very much a home baker, completely self-taught, and she had such a huge sweet tooth. So we would always have cookies or brownies or like coffee cake at our house at all times. Like if there wasn't a dessert in the house, like something was wrong. Like somebody was working too hard, or like we were on vacation or something like that. But from that, I myself got a really big sweet tooth, and this idea of having dessert around all the time made it so dessert like truly became a part of our daily lives. And I think for me, that's why I love desserts that feel so uncomplicated. For me, I feel like dessert should really fit into your life and not the other way around. Okay, so we are now gonna take about 2/3 of this dough, and we're just gonna put it into the bottom of the tart pan. And really, like, I kind of just crumble it and eyeball it. Like that feels about right. So you'll see I'm starting with these crumbles, and I'm just kind of gonna break them up to get everything even around the edge. And I actually just want to sort of push things to the edge a little more, because once we have this all nice and even, I'm gonna add a little bit more. We are going to use anything that has a flat bottom. So like here I'm using a cup measure, and we're just going to pack that in this way. And what's so nice about using a cup measure is then you're able to take that cup measure and kind of push it up the sides and create this little side that feels nice and safe. I mean, I would say that baking is absolutely my love language. It is the way that I express love. It's the way that I just feel like I have been ever since childhood. And I think like dessert is just so fun in that way, because it's like, it's totally unnecessary, but you do it and you share it because it literally like brings love and joy to the people who are both making it and eating it, which is really fun. Once you have that tart nice and packed in there, that's when you can go ahead and put your filling in. So I'll just give this a quick little stir, because it's already starting to macerate, like some of those juices are coming out. And then we will just put that into the bottom of our tart pan. And I might even add a few more berries, because this is a little bit of a bigger tart. Yeah, let's do it. There's just one thing that I love about baking. I feel like people tend to think that baking is such a science, but you can eyeball a little bit. All right, and then last, we're just going to top this with the remainder of that tart dough. So what I do for this is I kind of take it in my hands and I crumble it a little bit. This is just gonna help it get into bigger crumble pieces, and then I just break it apart all over the dough. So this is nice because you don't want it to be too sandy on top. Like you kind of want these little crumble bits that you bite into. So just squeeze it in your hand and then break it apart. And what I like to do here, I mean, there's no like exact science to like how much tart dough goes on the bottom and on the top, but what I like to do is make sure that you can see some of those berries so that they stay poking out. It's just a really nice visual moment to be able to like see exactly what you're about to be eating. So we're gonna keep some of those berries on the outside there. Oh my God, I'm so excited. All right, then last, we're just gonna take a 1/4 cup of sliced almonds, and we are just going to sprinkle this on top. I think these create a really nice crunchy moment, and also because we had almond in that dough, it's also just going to help to bring out that almondy flavor. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I love it. We are going to put this tart into the oven, but here's a little pro tip for you guys. Because tart pans have removable bottoms, I have absolutely had those times when I've put a tart in the oven and then I've gone to pick it up and I forgot about the removable bottom and then it broke in half and only half of the tart came with my hands. It's a mess, like we can't be having that. So pro tip is take that tart pan, put it onto a cookie sheet, and now you put this entire thing in the oven. You can easily get it in and out, no mess, no fuss. It's nearly foolproof. So this is going to go into a preheated 350 Fahrenheit oven for about 45 minutes. We're just looking for the crust to get nice and golden brown and for the berries to get nice and juicy and bubbly. While our tart is baking, I'm gonna show you guys one more part of the kitchen, which I didn't show you before, and it is like maybe my favorite part of the kitchen. It is this hidden closet. And again, I can't take credit for this genius engineering, but this closet is amazing. It's usually, I promise, it's usually more clean than this, but we had to get all our like hosting supplies ready for you guys. But like having this space right off the kitchen is an absolute dream. Some of the things that I like about it, this automatic light that goes on every time you open the door, so it's motion activated, and just the fact that it's recessed, so you have all of this storage that's both on one side and then through the back. We don't have actually a bathroom on the first floor down here. Instead, we have this closet and another closet, and honestly, I don't miss it. It's so, so nice to have this extra and added storage. So let's pick out a few things that we can set the table with. Starting with these cute bud vases. These are actually from Amazon. They come in a set of 12 and they're so perfect for just like little flower moments on a table. Right, so I'm gonna set these aside while I get a linen that we can begin our scene with. I will say, like, when I'm eating dinner on my own, I usually just use a placemat, but I think when you're doing a whole spread, a tablecloth just looks so, so good. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is actually literally a linen bed sheet, but you guys, this makes for the perfect tablecloth. So like, I'm somebody that never sleeps with a top sheet. I think top sheets are kind of silly and unnecessary. So I just end up with all of these extra sheets. And turns out a king size bed sheet, when folded over, makes for the most gorgeous linen tablecloth. So that's what we're using here. I feel like the way I set the table changes every time, but I feel like I'm usually like a plate silverware cup girl. So we're gonna go with silverware next. These I think are so fun and perfect for brunch. They're from Sabre, and I got these at Big Night. Honestly, almost all of my tableware is from Big Night. What I love about this silverware set is that it's like this combination of being everyday but elevated. So it feels like something that like you could eat on a random Tuesday, but you can also put it on a table like this, and it helps to like elevate the entire table. I would say in general, when I'm entertaining, I really want to make sure that my guests feel comfortable. I have been to so many dinner parties where the room just felt stiff and people didn't feel comfortable. They felt like it was a little too formal, and I never want people who come over to my house to feel that way. So part of creating that sense of warmth and comfortability is in creating this scene and this setting with items and objects that make people feel like it's just a fun, good time. Next up, glassware. So we're doing a brunch moment, so we need a little bit of like levity to this. It's the daytime, so we wanna stay a little bit casual. So I absolutely love these bubble glasses. They add a little bit of texture and they just keep everything really bright and fun. I think these are just the best. Not only do they look really good on a more daytime tablescape, but they can also look really nice on a dinner tablescape. And I love like the bubbly nature of it. It feels like, ooh, sensual, okay. And it's just such a great piece to have on hand. For linens for this tablescape, we are using linens again from Big Night because, I mean, if you haven't figured it out by now. Again, it's where I shop for everything. So these are from Big Night. It's a company called Madre Linen. And I think that doing like a linen on linen moment is just so nice. So linen tablecloth and then linen on the actual plate itself. I feel like I rarely set a table where I put the linen on the side. I like the linen to be its own sort of centerpiece moment. So I usually will put it on my actual plate. So not only does my love of baking come from my mom, but I would say my love of hosting comes from her, and in kind of like a different way. Like, she was not like somebody who would create this like beautiful, perfect, amazing tablescape, but what she always did was she always made people feel so comfortable. And when people came to our house, they really felt like they could let their guard down. They felt like they could talk about anything. And I think that that helped to instill in me that like hosting is so much about connection, and creating a beautiful tablescape, I think, is really enjoyable for myself. But my mom absolutely taught me that hosting is so much about how you make people feel. And I think I really try to bring that to the way that I host now as an adult. Something that I always like to keep in mind with centerpieces is you don't actually want a big centerpiece, because you're going to be, one, having food and drinks all around a table, and two, you want to make sure that you keep things low to the ground so that people can see each other over the centerpiece. So I always make sure that whenever I am putting anything in the center of my table, that I keep it low. So like, yes, we're good. I can see you. How funny would this be, you guys? And I can see you. These I'm also so excited about. I think they just add such a nice, like, I don't know, it's like a nostalgia almost. There's just this really cute handmade quality to these. I mean, do I even have to say it? I got it at Big Night. And I really love them. So even though this is a brunch scene, I just really like the idea of having a tiny little candle moment. I think that just looks so good. And I think too, like when I'm creating a tablescape, I really want to keep in mind color stories, right? So what we're going for here is this mixture between blues and like orangey pinks. So this is really nice because the blue here is matching with the blue here. And then we have this little like slight pinky moment here over here. We have this nice sort of orange glow here and here. So just always thinking about, as you're creating that tablescape, how you can tie everything together. And if you're going to include one color somewhere, try to pull it in another place on your table as well. I think this looks perfect. I don't want to go too overboard. That's another thing. Like when I'm hosting, I want it to feel pretty like minimal, because I want to put the food on the table and I want the food to really like be the thing that stands out. So I think we're good on our table for now. Speaking of food, let's go see if our tart is ready. Okay, tart's not ready, but that's okay because we got other things to do. So, in addition to this tart, let me tell you guys what I prepared. We have these vanilla bean blackberry scones. These are my mom's favorite recipe in the book. She's absolutely obsessed with these. No joke, she probably makes them twice a month. So we are going to do a little glaze on there. I recommend glazing these when they first come out of the oven. Mine right now are room temperature, and that's totally fine. But I really like glazing things when they're still warm because it just helps the glaze to set really, really nicely. So a little pro tip for you there. And then I just have this vanilla bean glaze. It's a very simple glaze that we're gonna put on top, and it like takes them over the edge. It's so good. I always like using a big tablespoon to do glaze over because it just helps to create this like really nice sort of zhuzh moment. Oh, that looks so perfect. And with glaze, like never be afraid to sort of like move it where you want. Like if you want the drips to be over this way more, glaze is very forgiving in that way. But what I love about this glaze is that it's thin enough that as it melts, you can really start to see like those ridges and the blackberry through it. Zebra bun cake, you guys. It's time to cut into this. Oh my God, isn't that like so pretty? It's so pretty, I'm obsessed. All right. Oh my goodness. All right, moment of truth. Let's see. Oh my God. It's so good. Fun little food styling tip here. The tart is still on its bottom here, so that removable tart pan, it's still on it. And I'm not gonna lift it up too much because it's really hot, but under it, we just have a bowl that I turned upside down. So let's see if I can handle this heat. So we literally just have this bowl that I turned upside down, and now it kind of looks like a cake stand. So it's a great way to have like a perfect tart on your table without buying an extra cake stand. Let's finish with powdered sugar. Tart is done, scones are ready, zebra cake is cut into. I think it's time to put all this on the table, revel in it a little bit, and then maybe bite into it. So let's go. I hope today has shown you guys that hosting does not have to be stressful, with a few delicious recipes up your sleeve and maybe a bed sheet as a tablecloth. You too can have an amazing brunch spread for your friends and family. And for all the recipes you saw today, you can find them inside Sweet Tooth, which is available now at all major retailers. The word home to me means a few things. I think absolutely food is involved in home, and home is a place where you feel like you can come back and you can kind of create but also feel comfortable, and that's kind of like how I approach food in general. And I also think home is so the people who you are in your space with. I think that really being home is more of a feeling than anything. Having the people who you love being able to be under that roof with you, like that's home. It doesn't really matter where you are or what it looks like, except for you can definitely make it look really fun and pretty and exciting. All right, Homeworthy, thank you so much for coming and spending the day with me. I had so much fun showing you some of these recipes, creating an amazing tablescape, and of course, showing you around my house. But it's now time for me to eat all the things I prepared, so I gotta kick you guys out. So thank you so much, and until next time.
On today's special episode of Homeworthy, we're bringing you to the Hamptons to spend the day with one of our favorite hosts, Stephanie Nass, who shows us how to pull off the perfect dinner party. As a culinary influencer, designer, and author of the entertaining book Swing By, Stephanie shares her expert inside tips on all things cooking and shows us how she sets a beautiful table. You won't want to miss this episode. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Stephanie Nass. Thank you, Homeworthy, for visiting me in the Hamptons. This is a very happy place for me. It's where I met my husband. It's where I have so many happy summer memories. And I love so many things about this special place. It's a really happy place for me to cook, and I'll be bringing you back to prepare a few favorite summer recipes that are very easy. We are making a tomato sauce pasta, and we are making a beautiful berry meringue dessert, and we'll also set a table. We had intended to go to 2 farm stands. We may get to 3 or 4. Each farm stand has beautiful specialty items, and then whatever we don't buy at the farm stands, we will get at Loaves and Fishes to round out my grocery list so that I can make my ideal summer party for you and share some ideas with all of you watching. Here we are at a very special farm stand, and you see behind the farm stand are beautiful flowers that you can also buy. We are going to get fresh tomatoes for the tomato sauce and some berries if they have them. So for the meringues, we definitely want these beautiful raspberries. And look at these blueberries, how big they are. Out here, there are farm stands on every corner. This area of the Hamptons is very agricultural focused, and it's amazing because we're also so near to the ocean. So you have this beautiful produce with the ocean air that tastes better and is even more gorgeous than you would find anywhere else. So these tomatoes are grown here, and they are going to be fabulous for my tomato sauce. The more red they are, the more excited I am about them. So I'm looking for the reddest ones. And it smells so good here with all the basil. Smell all that fresh basil? It's heaven. Wherever it says our own, it means the vegetables are grown literally here on this amazing land. You know, I have flowers for the table, but I always bring a napkin that I'm going to use for a dinner party to sort of match the colors. See, this is a totally different green, but this is literally a chef need cotton dinner napkin. I kind of like this purple with it. And what I like so much about using vegetables on the table is you can reuse them. So if we use them as decor, we can later use them as a salad, and I love that. So maybe this lettuce will have a place on my table, and I love that lettuce really does look like a little flower. But we could also put out eggplant in little piles. I'm going to take 2 lettuces. This lettuce is really delicious, this red leaf lettuce, which is actually a very deep purple. And again, I like how it goes with my napkin and table color palette. So I'm going to buy this. Thank you. You know, there are so many farm stands, and each farm stand has a specialty. So if I'm just driving to pick up tomatoes, I'll stop at whatever farm stand is on my way. But if I want a duck, I'll go to Fairview Farms at Mecox. If I want apples, I'll go to the Milk Pail. If I want fried chicken, I'll go to Round Swamp Farm. It just depends on exactly what I need. But I come here as often as I need to. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. All right, off we go. Hello. Okay, so back to color matching my napkin, because there are so many different greens, there are so many different browns, and I really want to get the right colors to correspond with the linens that I'm using for this dinner. So, all right, obviously no, maybe yes. It's like nice and creamy. I really want like a latte brown. I'm not seeing it, which is a perk of late summer. When flowers dry, they're like the dusty brown color I'm looking for. Yeah, this is definitely a better match than the pinks, but the pinks could be interesting. I love these. They're sort of like sunflowers, but they're a little more delicate. I love these velvety flowers. Sunflowers are such a summer classic. I've seen them with brown petals this summer, and I'm really obsessed with those. I love these little pom-poms and these beautiful zinnias. I tend not to buy mixed bouquets of flowers because I prefer to do the arranging myself, and always I'm like working around a color palette, and unless the mixed bouquet is like sent from the heavens, I need to do it myself. But I think I like what we got. Hi, I'm Stephanie.
Done. It's
I'm
like,
How are
sorry,
you?
this is my dad, Alan.
How
It's
are you?
all, you should see
Stephanie.
the entire, I'm going to show you all of her.
You're so sweet.
On the cover of the magazine.
You're so sweet. Anyway, I have a book coming out, and so we're doing like a lot of promotion, and you'll see our wedding, doing so much
I'm
stuff.
so excited for you.
And so life changes so
Hopefully
fast.
I'll
See you so soon. Bye, bye, bye. All right, off we go. This is really like a small town, and I always see people that I know and love, which is like an added perk to being out here. We're at our next stop, which is Loaves and Fishes Market. Here we'll find specialty food items, some prepared foods. It's a real local favorite, and it'll help me complete my list for our party tonight. So as you can see, there are so many house-made specialties with vegetables, and they're really famous for their pastries. If you want to do a semi-homemade dessert, these meringues are ideal. And I buy them for the number of guests that I'm welcoming, and then I pour their amazing raspberry sauce on top with a little fresh fruit. So we'll do that, and then I'll get other things for the house, the cookies, the cakes, and then I'll get some chicken and other favorite things. So this food store was opened with the woman who used to work with Ina Garten at the Barefoot Contessa. So it holds a very special place in food and Hamptons history. This raspberry sauce is to die for. Can I get 4 meringues? We live out here all summer and we come to the store probably once a week. My husband loves the pea salad. I love all of it. I love their frittatas. I love their soups. I love their desserts. And it's nice because it tastes homemade, but you don't have to always do all of the cooking. So as you can see, there's tons of hors d'oeuvres and sauces for you in here. I love the pea and broccoli soup. I always bring a dessert to someone's house, and if I don't cook it, I'll buy it here. I love the chicken cutlets. If we have guests, I might buy a frittata. It always depends, but everything is so good. Thank you. That's it. Thank you. Also, these brownies are unbelievable. Off we go. Okay, we're all set at Loaves and Fishes. We're going home. This road takes you directly to Ocean Road Beach, which is where I walk many, many mornings for exercise. When I arrive at the ocean and smell that fresh salt air, it's my treat. It's my reward at the end of a long walk. I wanted to show you, oh, dress, they don't have it today, but this is a little woman who puts out flowers. Oh yes, here, if you want to grab that. So this is some individual who makes these gorgeous flower arrangements and sells them along with the tomatoes from her garden. How special is that? So Bridgehampton, where we are now, is really horse country. This is where the Hampton Classic takes place, and there are so many horse farms here. It's a very special place here because there's so much natural beauty. Now that we've got all the groceries, let me put them to use and make something delicious. Welcome to the kitchen. We are ready to prepare these delicious recipes. The first one is a new take on tomato sauce. To give you some background, I really only eat tomatoes at their peak. So that's right now, and they smell so good even when they're on the vine. I literally won't eat tomatoes November through March because they don't taste as good as these. These are like candy. And we've seen so many tomato sauce recipes where you're toiling over the stove with all these gradual steps. The sauce is boiling up and it's making a mess on your stove. This is an oven roasted tomato sauce recipe. So if you think about potatoes, roasted potatoes are more delicious than boiled potatoes, right? And we are going to roast these guys because I'm roasting at 425. We're gonna have a Maillard caramelization reaction. It makes the tomatoes their best. It takes them to their peak of flavor. And I'm also gonna roast half an onion to give it some sweetness. We're gonna blend it, and then we're gonna pour it over some pasta. So first, I'm gonna put on an apron. This apron came from our wedding. So we made this beautiful custom toile for our wedding. And on the toile, you see illustrations of me and my husband and our favorite places in the mountains, at the beach, in the city, our favorite foods. You have ice cream and lobster rolls, our favorite flower, which is hydrangea. And so I keep this apron in our kitchen so I remember our happiest day, our wedding day, and also I'll protect my dress. And I have a chef's knife and a tomato. I was pretty indiscriminate about how I chose the tomatoes, but the first thing I did when I got back to the kitchen was I put the oven on 425 so it could preheat. But back to the tomato, I'm going to turn it over to its flatter side so it doesn't move around, and I'm going to cut it down the middle. I'm going to cut off the top because I don't like this hard part. It won't taste good. It won't add anything. I'm just gonna cut out, I guess it's called a pith. As I cut tomatoes, I'm gonna put them on a baking sheet. Move those veggies from our garden. I'm gonna line it with parchment. Parchment for me is a total cooking hack and a life hack because it means I don't have to scrub the pan and all the burnt and caramelized deliciousness that you might find on a pan. I'm just gonna lay this here and I'm later gonna pick up everything, pour it in the blender, and the parchment paper makes it easier, plus less to clean up. And I'm gonna cut the tomatoes in equal sized parts, but because the tomatoes are all different sizes, I'm just gonna optimize for this size because this size is gonna roast really nicely. And I am going to plop these tomato slices on the baking sheet. This isn't making cookies. When you make cookies, you need space in between all your cookie dough. With the tomato, it's not gonna spread. So you can place them as close together as you want, but keep them all in a flat line. Don't pile them up because you want them to cook evenly. So I'm just chopping these. We're gonna use as many tomatoes as fill the baking sheet, leaving a little bit of room to roast some onion. So I think that's gonna be between 6 and 8 tomatoes. It's gonna vary based on the size of your tomatoes. But also, sometimes when I make this recipe, I use cherry tomatoes, but this is all good tomato. And I'm gonna save this, and it's not exactly the same size as the other slices. It'll cook a little faster, but this is totally fine and delicious to use. So plopping this all down. This is tomato number 1, tomato number 2. But this is what in culinary school they call this a rough chop. It's just a rough chop. And you know, when you're making salad and the cut vegetable is the end product, it really should look perfect. But because this is all going to be blended, I don't really care about the exact shape of each slice. So I'm just doing this quickly because I want to get it in the oven to start roasting. I think we have enough room for one more tomato. And again, I think this is going to make like 4 servings of pasta. So if you were serving 8, you would just do 2 baking sheets, or 3, and then you have leftover, and no one's going to cry about leftover tomato sauce. To give the tomato sauce a little bit of sweetness, I'm going to also roast half an onion. This is a sweet yellow onion. I'm going to cut off the top, cut off the bottom. I made this dish for my husband and we both agreed it needed a little sweetness, but a lot of traditional tomato sauces literally include sugar. I'm not going to do that. The tomatoes this time of year are so sweet, plus onion is natural sweetness with additional flavor. So this much onion, I'm going to cut it to the size of the rest of the tomatoes because if it's cut around the same size, it'll cook in around the same time. That's a lot of salt. And then I'm using my friend's amazing Greek olive oil. I'm not measuring the olive oil. I am pouring the olive oil at a speed that I feel is adequately oiling all of these veggies. So ready? I'm not going to stop. Okay. I'm going to take a wooden spoon and mix it up, but you see already this is a single baking sheet of prep, so I'm not making a big mess. When a lot of people make tomato sauce, it's like they cut and then they do this and then they have the garlic and then they have the herbs and it's like the wine, and this is very simplified, which is how summer should be. I'm going to open this up a little bit because onions take longer to cook than tomatoes. But again, this is like around the same size. There you go. All the veggies are prepped. We are going to put this in the oven at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 to 25 minutes, depending on when we see a little golden brown caramelization. That's when we know it'll be ready. All right. So the next step in this dish is putting a pot of water to boil for the pasta. It'll be salty water. And then when the sauce is ready, we'll make the pasta. So I'm not measuring out this water. I just know how much pasta is going in, and we're gonna need water to cover all the dry pasta. So I'm imagining the volume of the pasta, and this will be enough water for that. And then again, I'm not measuring, I'm just eyeballing the salt. It's easier when I take off the lid. That's enough salt. And then I'm gonna put this water on high heat to boil. So the sauce is in progress and the dessert is gonna come together very, very fast. So now we can focus on the table. I know that I wanna do something with this beautiful lettuce. So maybe I'll just chop it a little and put it into bud vases. So here are some pretty little bud vases. I'll just fill them with a touch of water. This lettuce smells so earthy and good. So this is a little wet, but it's clean. And I'm looking at the diameter of these bud vases, and let's see. See how this looks like a flower and how sweet that is as an alternative? Let's see if I can tuck this in. This is the bottom of the lettuce, which is regenerative. So if I wanted to cut off the bottom here and put this in a ramekin by the window for a week or so, it would begin sprouting. And then from there I could put it in my garden and start growing my own lettuce. So this is not scraps. This is totally the opportunity to grow and have much more lettuce. So this I save. And this is also fun for children to do because they get to understand how vegetable grows. So both little heads are in this ramekin in sufficient clean water, and they will grow. So far I haven't spent so much money on flowers. These dried flowers came from the bush, and then the cabbage was just the cost of the cabbage. The only flowers I did spend money on were these. And let me put them in pretty little vases for the arrangement on the table. Madly in love with these vases. They, to the best of my knowledge, are only sold at a store in Palm Beach called Mary Mahoney. And I love that you can use them as candle holders or as flower vases. And I love that they look like an open flower in which you put your own flowers. So I'll fill these with a little bit of water. All right, so these to me feel classic and traditional, but they also have an Alice in Wonderland kind of magical vibe. And I'm just gonna trim the first flower. This is gonna be too short. So I need to trim the next flower a little bit longer because I want it to sit in the water. That looks like the right length. So I'm gonna trim a bunch of these to the same length. Now that I know, like this, and then, so I want them to face outward to sort of mimic the petals of the silver. And I'm not going to be fastidious about this, but where possible, I'm taking out the bottom leaves, because if the leaves sit in the water at room temperature, they'll develop mold, and then your arrangement won't last as long. So I'm just pulling off the bottom. And remember, I don't have to waste my time with the bottom of the whole stem, only the bottom of what I need. And I'm just poking these in to the bud vase. The bud vase has a nice narrow opening, so I don't have to do so much arranging. And then I have all of these around the circumference of the opening going outward, and then I'll put these in the middle to fill it out. This one is nice and straight. And then this, to me, I don't know how it looks from the side, is sort of the extent to which I want this done. And just so the next one matches, I'm going to do the first one same length. This is done. So I started my career as a caterer, and I found myself decorating tables and making custom linens and plates and other goodies for my clients. So I started making my own designs of tableware, and now my tableware business is my central focus, and I seldom cater. If I cater, I'm doing cooking classes in homeless shelters to teach people cooking techniques and then feeding everyone. Or around the holidays, I'm going on morning news and I'm demonstrating fun recipes and holiday ideas. But in terms of cooking, I mostly cook for my family and friends. And then I have a cookbook coming out, which is 1,000,000 recipes, but it's mostly for hosting dinner parties and things and other kinds of parties. And that is done. Beautiful. They still need 10 to 15 minutes. And my flower arrangements are all done. I can talk you through the other table components that we're going to use. These candles are some of our Baroque candles, we call them, and they are carved by hand. And I love this dark green with the napkins. I'm going to do a bamboo napkin ring. It feels natural and outdoorsy and summery. So napkin, this is a thick cotton napkin, very starchy, and it's folded in quarters. And I'm gonna take this napkin, this bamboo napkin ring, and quickly pull one corner through it about 30% over the square. And then I'm gonna puff up the bottom, which is the front. I'm gonna make sure the more attractive side of the napkin is facing upward. And then that is that. So we're gonna set the table for 8. And here are my napkins with napkin rings. I love this pattern. It is so popular, this napkin pattern. And I find that it's lovely for all seasons, for fall, for summer, spring, all of it. So I love this, and it's just like a great napkin to keep in your home. It goes in the laundry, it goes in the dryer, you don't need to iron it. When it comes out of the dryer, you just fold it quickly when it's still warm, and there will not be a crease as you see in these. And then these are our cane chargers. So these are all woven by hand, and a charger is sort of the crown of a plate. And so we'll set the plate in the middle of this charger, and so you'll see this peak of this classic pattern, which we see like in chairs and in beds, but it's so fun to see it on the table as a charger. And we'll put our flowers, and we have a whole color palette here. You know, for our wedding, we did a long 28-foot cake down the middle of the table, and now everyone expects me to do sweets on the table, which I'm very proud of. So I also bought some mini pies from the milk pail, and this is a little apple crisp, a little mini. So we're gonna nestle these pies. This is apple crisp, and then this one is raspberry peach. We're gonna nestle these among the flowers and the candles. Wow. So I chose these pies because they weren't open-faced, and the color of the crust really matches the color of the napkin rings, which matches the color of the cane chargers and the birds in the pattern, and you know, it just ties everything together. And I just love bringing people back to their happiest moments, their childhood. And so I'm imagining people in between courses just taking their spoon and taking a little bite of pie. So my book is called Swing By, because that's often how I invite people to come over. And whether it's a formal seated meal or a casual gathering, I want people to come casually as themselves. And the book outlines so many different kinds of gatherings and events, some formal, some casual, but the Swing By title sort of encapsulates my hosting ethos. The guests don't have to bring much of themselves, because once they arrive, they'll be taken care of. And the book is available for pre-order on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, at your local bookseller, and maybe some others. Okay, all the solids, or most of the solids, have been lifted from this parchment. This liquid is very, very hot, but I'm carefully not going to waste it because it is so delicious. And as long as this side of the parchment is open, I'm gonna quickly and carefully grab the edges, and pour it all into the blender. And I wanna squeeze all of this yumminess into my sauce. And I love parchment paper for so many things. When you're roasting vegetables of all kinds, broccoli, asparagus, it's just the best. All right, so this is everything we need for the sauce. I'll put the lid on. Ready to puree. I'm gonna liquefy. I want it to be velvety. I want it to be so smooth. So this sauce is smooth. I think a major difference between home cooking and fine dining is taking that extra time to get a sauce really velvety, silky smooth. So I put this blender on the highest liquefied setting so you won't see little chunks and, little odds and ends mixed in. It all looks consistent, one color, one sauce. This is your tomato sauce. It is done. We are going to do this sauce on a rigatoni. The cook time for this is 12 to 14 minutes. I always trust the cooking instructions on the box because they've tried it a million times and they're right. So I'm gonna put, and we're at sea level, I'm gonna put the cook time at 12.5 minutes because we're gonna cook the pasta in the sauce so that it's fully stuck to everything. So the pasta is stuck to the sauce and the sauce is stuck to the pasta. So I'm going to put the pasta in my salty boiling water. And hey Siri, set a timer for 12.5 minutes. 12.5 minutes. A minute in, we're going to stir it. So I like a wooden spoon. I am very nervous about plastic because this water is hot and I don't want to put any contaminants in food I'm preparing. So I'm stirring it and moving it around before everything sticks together, and then I'll just let it sit. So in the time that the pasta is boiling, I'm going to completely do my dessert. I love pastry. Pastry is my passion. I normally have cookie dough in my freezer. I make heaps of it at a time, and then I separate it into pints and then freeze the pints. So every time I have a dinner party, I use 1 pint of cookie dough. And I'll do elaborate cakes, I'll do elaborate pies, but today I wanted to share with you an idea. So meringues are like a semi-homemade idea. And these are from Loaves and Fishes, as you saw. And you can fill these with salty caramel sauce and then put beautiful sliced apples for the fall. You can do whipped cream and sliced peaches. But today we're doing raspberry sauce and raspberries. So just think of a meringue as a hosting hack for berries, fruits, delicious sauces. You could do mixed berries, you could do stone fruits, you could do, more of a tropical fruit like a pineapple. But I love meringue as an idea. The difference between a meringue and a pavlova is a meringue is crunchy through and through. It's brittle. A pavlova is like marshmallowy and chewy on the inside. I prefer meringue. I think most people also prefer meringue. So you can make your own meringue cookies once you have the egg whites and you pipe them out, or you just dollop them out at a low temperature in the oven. They're very easy to do. But if you don't have the time, buy the meringues. You can buy sauce like this one, which already has defrosted, and then throw some berries on top. I also think that an individual dessert at a home dinner party brings your dinner party to another level of elegance, like you would find in a restaurant. So rather than doing a big dessert, this time I'm doing individuals. So I'll plan to give everyone their own. Here's the meringue, here's the raspberry sauce. and I'm gonna pour it over, and this should be done à la minute. À la minute in French cuisine means right before serving. So don't leave the the raspberry sauce in the meringue for hours. It's going to deflate. You should do it just before you serve it. And so here we are with the meringue, and then we'll add some cleaned raspberries from the farm stand. And you could put mint, you could put basil. This is some basil I have from my garden. And then this is the easiest dessert ever. That one is already done. Should we do the next one? But today I wanted to demonstrate something that wasn't going to make you pull your hair out. So again, if you want to see this close up, the raspberry sauce goes right in the center of the meringue. I'm going to fill it up nicely, just like that. And then I will add some berries. I like things in threes. 1, 2, 3. And then a little piece of basil. One little leaf, a baby leaf, a micro leaf. Boom. And that is your dessert. So people will eat this with a spoon. They could lift it up if they're feeling bold and eat it like a cookie. But these are very elegant and an easy summer dessert if you don't want to stand in front of a hot stove and oven for hours and hours. So these are done. Look, for Thanksgiving, you could even do this with cranberry sauce or and like candied cranberries. Wouldn't that be delicious? For Christmas, you could do something with chocolate. There are so many different variations of things to do with meringue. Dessert took less time than it took me to boil the pasta. The pasta is almost done boiling, so I'm going to warm up the sauce. I'm going to pour my sauce into the saucepan over low flame. See, it's already bubbling. I need lower. I want it really low because I'm not intending to cook the sauce right now, just get it warm. And by cooking the pasta in the sauce, the sauce won't slip off of the pasta. It's another major difference between home cooking and fine dining. This additional step of cooking the pasta in the sauce. And if you really wanted to conserve pots and pans to clean, you could wait until the pasta is drained and do everything in the pasta pot. Okay. The pasta's ready. I'm going to pour the cooked pasta, which is perfectly al dente, into the tomato sauce. And just look at this color. It's like orange. It looks like there's cream. There is no cream. You know exactly what's inside. If you wanted to serve tomato soup, the trolls on the internet might complain about this, but I don't see a reason why you can't serve this tomato soup as I made the sauce. You can serve it chilled with grilled cheese. You can serve it hot, but it is a healthy dish made from vegetables with a little seasoning, and it goes a very, very long way. Normally for pomodoro, tomato pasta, you would do spaghetti. But I struggle serving a lot of plates of spaghetti at once because it's hard to plate it beautifully. I find rigatoni is easier to plate when you're plating many plates at once. There are rules, I don't know them. I like rigatoni, and it's easier in the hosting format most of the time. So this is looking perfect. I don't want my pasta to sit in a pool of sauce. So I'm gonna pull from the top, not from the bottom. And I'm gonna put the most beautiful noodles to the best of my ability on top. So I'm gonna pull, and I'm gonna put everything right in the middle of the plate. There's sauce, but not a pool of it. Oh, no, no. Okay, we'll fix it. and I'm turning off the flame. Okay, so here's how I'm gonna fix it. I am going to allow myself to eat this one single noodle. And then I'm going to just wipe this down with a damp paper towel, as they do in restaurants. And I would say good as new. And we'll just garnish it with some fresh basil, which I'm picking from the plant, from my basil, whatever, just before I serve it. So there you go. This sauce is not heavy. It won't give you a stomach ache. It tastes like summer with the essence of tomato at its best. By the way, I said to show the prettiest noodles on top. I broke that rule. This noodle is broken, as inevitably happens sometimes in a boiling pot of water. But I love this sauce. I love using the oven when I host, because unlike the stove where you have to work and crouch over it, the oven does a lot of the work for you. So while we had the tomatoes and onions in the oven, I was able to do flour arrangements. While the pasta was boiling, I was able to finish dessert. But again, back to the oven. The oven is your kitchen assistant, so use it as much as you can. So by the way, this is Stephanie flatware. I like that the handles take the shape of bamboo, but it's in a nice pearly white that's a little incandescent. You can use it with everything because it's like a creamy white and it matches with everything. So let's go set the table. All right, let's set the table. This beautiful breeze. Okay, so I always start with the chargers because they take up the most space in each place setting. I've already wiped down this table and I'm not going to use a tablecloth because I want it to have a more casual vibe, and I love a tablecloth, but this is just more earthy and different. So chargers down first. And I am careful that the plates are around the same distance from the edge of the table, because again, it makes a difference. And I'm just eyeballing to check the space and the placement of everything. It looks okay. And some traditionalists would insist on putting a plate on top of the charger. I'm going to do most of the plating in the kitchen, so we'll bring the plates of food outside. I'm just going to put the napkins directly on the chargers. And because of how I put the napkin rings on, there is a correct side up for me. It's like the poofier side, the fluffier side. That one got a little flattened. Puff it up a little. So these are flatware sets of 4. I don't know if in this box we have every piece, so I will gradually add it. The way you remember where things go, fork has 4 letters like left. It goes on the left. Spoon and knife have 5 letters, so they go on the right, like right. Right has 5, knife has 5, spoon has 5. And by the way, for dessert, when you put them on top, they go in the opposite direction of the other. So if I have a big soup spoon over on the right, this is going to face left. Easy to remember, huh? I'm just filling this out little by little. I really only need 3 pieces, but I'm going to put 4 just to cover my bases. I have 2 sizes of forks. So I'm just going to do these simple bistro cups. Again, they sort of connote casual and home and, you know, normal. Like you can just let your hair down, kind of whatever. I'm just also looking at how things are lined up, and I feel like I want to move some things because I want person A to speak to person B. and I want person Z to talk to person Y. Okay, 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 okay. And I'm gonna fiddle with everything to get it perfect. Did I miscount the number of cups? No, okay. So you put the bread, B for bread. The bread goes on the left, and D for drink. The drink goes on the right. So I'm right, the drink goes there. And we get one more cup. So when you set the table, you need to do these components first. The plates, the flatware, and the glassware. Because this is how you know how much real estate you have to play with in the middle of the table. So I'm gonna start with my tallest, most central flower arrangement first, these hydrangeas from the bush, and then I'm gonna build out from there. So let's do it. I like symmetry, so we're gonna frame everything around this central hydrangea. Next we're doing candles. Next, we have the lettuce flowers. They're not lettuce, well, they're lettuce dressed up as flowers, acting like flowers. Next, we have the miniature pies, because you don't want these people sitting on the edge to feel discouraged that they weren't given the primo seats, so let them have pie. And voila, here we have a centerpiece that did not cost a lot of money, that incorporates the colors of the table, some local flavor, some local pastry, and it's not too tall so people won't be fighting with the flowers to speak to the person across from them. And I think we are all set. I love cooking and I love setting the table because I love setting the scene for a memorable evening of interaction, conversation, bonding, storytelling, laughter. And that's really what all of this is all about. The flowers and the pies and the sweets are all about people being together. So I have people arriving. Thank you so much for coming to the Hamptons. Homeworthy, you inspire all of us, and I hope I could share some of my ideas with you. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.